Hey everyone, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. We are having an impromptu little discussion here. I'm speaking with none other than Danny Boy, a Canadian MRA that is, I think, one of my personal favorite badasses. He's the kind of guy that'll go out in the cold Canadian winter to help homeless men and then stop on the way home and piss FTSU in the snow before he gets to his house. Hey, Danny, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, brother. How are you doing, Paul?
I couldn't be doing better. Enjoying life, having fun, and I'm sure people are starting to wonder. Danny had actually wanted to make an announcement tonight, which he's going to make in the course of this short discussion. We're going to talk about fundraising at ABFM. One of the things Danny's done in the past is that beard of his has been very good. You'll note in the title I called him the Beard of Compassion. And the funny thing is, he's always got this tremendously awesome beard, but it's a little bit different every time I see him. And I've seen that beard, like full out, and right now he's got a goatee, and I've seen it bright fire engine Chanty Binks red too. As a fundraising effort, and he did cut it off once. And his beard is such an item that he's managed to raise a lot of money for ABFM as well as CAFE, the Canadian Association for Equality. That has done a lot of good. He's going to tell you in a few minutes about stepping the game up. He's going to up the ante here tonight with some might call it a stunt. I think it's ballsy and great. But first, let me ask you, what struck in you? What happened to set up this thing with the beard and fundraising to begin with? Let's go back over that.
Well, just my personal take on things is that got to inject a little bit of fun into what we do. We deal with carnage every day. It seems endless, and sometimes we get some good news, like CAFE opening up the Center for Men and Their Families.
Yay!
Yeah, yes, awesome. Way to go, guys. Awesome job. Love you for it. So I try and keep things creative and interesting and humorous, or with some humor in it. Humorize it. So actually, my fundraising goes back a little bit further, my fundraising antics. I believe that there was a time when we had the stickers, and I said that if ABFM raised a certain amount in a certain time, that I would hang stickers over 10 stickers per mile for X miles. And I think what it was is that it ended up they came close, 90%. So it ended up being 40 stickers over 4 miles. That was my first little foray into making things creative. Then we got onto the Chanty Binks kick. You came up. We had the Chanty Binks kink. That's oral sex. She likes saying, hearing the F word, dropping F bombs. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, she's been better for the MHRM than a blowjob. I'm telling you.
Oh hell yeah! It brings a smile to my face that she must know how much she has increased our supporters just by her stupid, silly little verbal plagiarizing of Lindy West, whom I might add, she had said that she wanted to marry Lindy West, and how she claimed at the conference, or our little date there, that she didn't know where she got it, but she wanted to marry the woman who wrote this little diatribe that she let off with, and then mocks and laughs at male suicide.
Yep.
And on a personal note, many of you know that my brother Anthony got his name tattooed right here. Passed away by his own hand about 33 years ago. He was so I have a personal tie to that. And here there was this woman laughing in my face. Screw her. She terrible woman. I pity her, actually. But it does warm my heart knowing that she must know that she, just increased our support by, a millionfold. So that does warm my heart. So yeah, you came up for the rally out at Queen's Park. Many others came out. Susie was there. Great meeting her. Dean was there. Awesome meeting him. Attila was there. He organized it. Who else was there with us?
Eric Tiberius Duckman was there.
Yes, he was there.
John Karen Strawn was there. A lot of people. That was my first real contact with a lot of people that I had been working with online for a long time, and it was a hell of a good time.
It was, and a lot of the locals were there. The folks from Cafe came down and supported us as we support them, which is good. We got all support because we're all in this together. Yeah, so prior to that, we were going to attend the the lecture by what was
Miles
his name?
Groff.
Miles Groff, yes, and that was a good lecture. Enjoyed it, and we were showing our numbers, a little bit of our numbers, a very small portion of our numbers, I might add. Thank you very much, Chanty.
Yep.
So we had that fundraiser going on, and I said, listen, let's make it fun. So I said, if we raise $5,000 in a certain amount of time, that I would dye my beard Chanty Binks red, and I did it as best as I could. And that went off. It was great. That was great fun, and it was a nice statement. Rubbing her nose in it, her dirty little bitch doggy nose in it. Well, can I say that on here? Uh-oh.
Say whatever the fuck you want to say. This is AVFM, not Raw Story.
Well, I'm sure even if I claim that she was Mother Teresa, Chanty Binks was Mother Teresa herself, which she is not, I'm sure the feminists out there would find a way to twist that and say that I had attacked her.
Well, if in case there's anybody out there that doesn't know who Chanty Binks is, if you're one of the people that have seen the video of her that's gotten 600,000-700,000 hits by now, screaming fuckface at somebody, that's the guy right there you're listening to tonight, Danny Boy. Weren't you the one that she was calling fuckface over and over and over again?
Screaming it at me to the top of her lungs and with the best dramatic ability she could. And then she went promptly off to play the victim.
Well, poor little thing is probably borderline. But anyway, so you dyed the beard red and raised the money, obviously. And
the good folks out there who support us raised the money. I just donated the time and effort.
That's a very good way to put it, but it was sparked by your efforts. Then there came an event, and I'm foggy on the details of it now, where you raised money by cutting your incredible beard off.
The folks at Cafe liked my creative fundraising endeavors, and they approached me and came up with an idea, about shaving it off. And I was attached to that beard. It was starting to look good, I was starting to get some nice length to it, and I was thinking about, geez, you know what? I'm starting to look like that old cartoon, guy. Keep on trucking.
Oh yeah, Mr. Natural.
So I was kind of thinking, I'm like, I kind of like that look for me. And they approached me, and I said, well, yeah, sure, $5,000. If you guys can raise that in 72 hours, then I will shave the beard off. They actually raised, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,500. And of course, so I kept my word and I shaved it off. I shaved it down to a goatee. That was, I made sure that I could keep a little bit of facial hair because I do, I'm not ashamed of my male abilities. Women can grow breasts, I can grow a beard. So what? These are our differences. Bless us for our differences.
Well, and if every woman had breasts the caliber of your beard, Danny, it would be a better world.
Well, as compassionate as my beard was, God rest its soul. But so yeah, I was attached to it, but it was for all the right reasons, and so yeah, I donated the beard. That was it. When I did it, when I did the act, I actually at that night, if I remember correctly, Paul, That night, when this was discussed, because this was after Miles' Dr. Groth's lecture, I even blurted out that if they raised $100,000, that I would let Chanty Binks shave it off. But they fell short.
I remember that. I was about 8 beers in, about 8 pints into it about that time, but I do have the memory of your saying that.
Yes, and I would have stuck to it, provided that she was a willing participant. But somehow I doubt that she would be a willing.
Well, I tell you what, I would never ever screw with a man that would let Chanty Binks near his neck with a razor. That's bigger cojones that I got, bud.
So yeah, I made a little video about it. So I started off with my antics, and I put the song in the background, "Hair" by the 5-Man Electrical Band, and some of the pictures of my beard, putting posters up, and doing odds and sods, the very famous red beard of it at the time, and then promptly shaved it off, and then while I was shaving it off, I put in Cats, the Cats song "Memories" or something like that. As I'm shaving it off, and then I wrapped my hair around my face like that, and I said, nobody will recognize it's a comb over, and that was my little play on the finale of that fundraising endeavor. So yeah, and I had great fun doing it.
Well, and you certainly have helped a lot of people in the process. Again, I want to reiterate, Danny's the kind of guy that actually gets on the streets with people that are homeless and helps there and spreads word of mouth information about the men's movement and talks to people. He's been doing it for all the years that I've been known him and been talking to him. He's always there, ready to help. And as a matter of fact, today, I don't know if it was last night or today, Danny contacted me and said he wanted to help with the fundraising at AVF Film. It is our quarterly fundraiser, and we are trying to meet our budget, working hard at it. Danny said he wanted to help, and we talked about it a little bit, and he came up with a pretty remarkable idea. And, I think I'm just going to let, at this point, let Danny give you the particulars.
Well, Paul, you touched upon a little bit of our history there, and I'd just like to point out that in 2010 I stumbled across your YouTube channel and your blog, and I thought, manna from heaven. My God, somebody speaking truth to power here and doesn't give a damn who the fuck is offended by it. Didn't care. I had just come fresh out of the oven, the meat grinder, and I started reading, and I read daily, and I remember at one point in time that Paul had said there was a discussion going on about the flavor of A Voice for Men being so technical, or we may be dumbing things down for people. And Paul, you had replied in the comment section something along the lines of, "We're here to make FTSU professors. We're not here to coddle people." And I'd like to say that I hope that I'm a worthy product of FTSUU.
More than worthy. For those of you that don't know, a little explanation is in order. The term FTSU, it originated with John Himbling, one of his articles where he, in, I think, righteous indignation, vented his anger about dealing with people that said they were feminists but that they cared about men's issues, and then immediately proved that they didn't within 2 minutes of talking to them, and looking at all the anti-male policies and looking at the violent reaction to our attempts to speak. And John nailed it all down in a short but powerful article where he said, "I'm not here to make friends or to explain to you. I'm here to fuck your shit up." And it instantly caught fire with our crowd. FTSU was born. and has been with us ever since. We get mocked for it sometimes, and of course, just for the well, we have two classes. There is the developmentally disabled people that have a hard time understanding things, and then there's feminists. And we have to explain for people's benefit, fuck their shit up does not mean violence. What you do to fuck up a feminist shit is tell the truth. You speak the truth to their lies. You put a light on them, as we have with so many of them. We show people what they are. That alone, it's like, and when you watch them, they scurry like roaches when you turn on the kitchen light. That is fucking their shit up. There's nothing more than that to it, and it's a great expression. It's provocative. We intend to be provocative, and it also plays a role in what we're talking about tonight. I wanted to explain that. Danny, please roll on with what you have to say.
So, since I've been around, and I've been like kind of hanging around you poor folks down at A Voice for Men for so long, I feel like it's kind of family. Well, I figure might as well get a little bit of ink done on my arm here. I figure right here, either there or there. Now, I think that definitely FGSU's got to be in there, and definitely A Voice for Men's got to be in there. And from there, we can enjoy a little bit of fun. And I think that we can open it up to you good people who support us, who donate. And by support, I don't mean just money. I know some people are hurting for coin, but you donate time, you make comments that are intelligent and cogent, and you help out around, taking care of the flack. Flack, who am I kidding? The shit that feminists fling at us. So we can open that up to a design for a Voice for Men, and then fuck their shit up. So,
and there is a catch to this, is there not?
Absolutely. I want to see some fucking serious goddamn coin in the coffers. Now I'm thinking next Friday I want to see at least $10,000 fucking dollars.
We would be roughly 6,000 and change short of that right now. For anybody interested in this, you can go check the exact amount on the website. There's the largest image in the middle of the page is our current fundraiser. There's one of these little cheesy thermometers there that shows where we're at. What Danny has suggested is that if we can make the 10K mark by next Friday, he's willing to put his skin in the game by getting inked. Danny, that's a damn commitment, because tattoos are not temporary. Are you that committed? Are you that crazy? Or are you that compassionate? I think it's the first and the last. I think you're committed and compassionate. What motivated you to be willing to step up and dedicate on that level?
Well, Paul, I believe in A Voice for Men. I remember when, we started coming out in our real names, and you asked me. And shortly before that, I had done a video where I actually, felt pretty much, I was pretty scared. I admit it. I was pretty scared. I did a video. I kept my, I had a hood on. I had sunglasses on. I tried to, hide myself as much as possible. And there's a funny thing when you let fear just kind of go and you say, fuck it. It's really freeing. Now I see no need to change my commitment to A Voice for Men, and A Voice for Men. I don't see A Voice for Men ever changing their commitment to the equal compassion, consideration, care for men. I'm willing to put that on I'm willing to take that on my skin and shed a little blood in the process.
That is incredibly generous. And first, let me thank you for making that kind of offer. Um, I hope people respond to it. We do need the money. Let me explain just for a couple of minutes a couple of things about ABFM and what I think that ABFM. And keep in mind, I'm not saying that synonymously with myself. ABFM is a whole hell of a lot of people right now. There is about 30 people that work actively with and through ABFM on a regular basis, doing everything from technical operations to helping us with marketing the site, with social media. We have even more than that in terms of brilliant writers. The value in this, and it ties directly into what Danny was talking about, the difference. It is nerve-wracking. When I decided to come online, I had been an offline, different kind of activist in another life as a counselor, where I suddenly did what I wanted to do for the men that I was working with. Coming out online, I knew the one thing I think I did get right is that I knew for credibility that we can't hide in the shadows anymore. And it's not that I don't understand that some people have to, because they do, and I respect that. But for us to have credibility, we have to speak the truth, and we have to have our name on it. There has to be a certain amount of people doing that. And ABFM, I believe, is the platform that attracted that happen. And that's why you see that ABFM has been attacked by every major media news source in the United States, some in Europe. It has been the subject of attacks by the SPLC. There are a lot of people working really hard. Right now, Sage Gerard, his real name, the director of collegiate activism for ABFM, who has started our first sponsored men's group. It is their group. We help sponsor the program, and he is under savage attack right now because he's hosting a conference which we're going to come on to an American university and talk about things like the fraud of rape culture. These are things that have needed to happen in the society, and nobody, there were always people willing to write polite conversation about it. But something I've noticed, and I believe that there's a connection, is that since so many people started stepping up for and through ABFM with their real names, as it developed into a really big website and a really sophisticated website reaching millions of people, we started seeing changes in mainstream media. There was recently a piece in Time magazine about Emma Watson's big screw up, and how that he for she is a really horrible thing for men. And there's been a lot more. We're seeing the tone and the tempo and the conversation change, and that is a critical factor to making a difference. If you don't have some sort of social consciousness going, if you don't have people aware on a level that there's no moral defense for this shit, there's no moral defense for the neglect over why Danny lost his brother to suicide. There is no moral defense for what's happening to men in courts. There's no moral defense to what's happening to young men in universities, and with false accusations, and with false imprisonments, and with the demonization of men. There is no moral defense of any of this stuff. The only thing it can perpetuate on is silence. And what I think ABFM has done is we have ended the fucking silence about this shit. People are finally starting to talk about it, and that's why I believe in ABFM just like Danny does. That's why our mission is so vital. If we're going to have a men's movement for now, I mean, it's going to be great down the road when it's all through academia and we're starting to get degree programs and we're looking at change on that level. But right now, what we have to do is have as many people as possible in this culture standing up and saying, my name is whatever, and I'm a men's human rights activist, and this shit is wrong. And we're getting that done when nobody else has been able to before. That's not me bragging, except for the fact that I'm bragging on people like Danny and Dean Esme and David King and so many others that work at this. And so, but we can't, we've always worked on a shoestring. We don't have, sell advertising. I don't think that Playtex is going to want to put ads on our site. We're not going to get a big check from Ford Foundation. We're not going to get government money. We run on a shoestring budget, and to put out an incredible amount of media and journalism on what we do. But we do need help with it, and Danny believes in that so much that he's stepped up and offered to tattoo his skin, to put the ink down where his mouth is. And we're asking you to help us carry on. This is really important work. It's my life's passion, I'll admit it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who say, why should I pay for what you would be doing for free anyway? You're not paying for what I would be doing for free. What you're doing is you're helping grow the numbers of people that will stand up, challenge feminist dogma, and get us closer to the day where we can end this shit, because this shit needs to end. People are dying. People are being abused at just phenomenal rates. It's staggering when you sit and look at the numbers and think about what's happening. It should be mind-blowing to any human being with compassion.
Paul, 8 men a day?
Yeah, please take it away.
Yesterday in Canada, 8 men today in Canada, and 8 men tomorrow in Canada. Died by their own hands, compared to 2 women yesterday, 2 women today, and 2 women tomorrow. And yet the Canadian government has 11 papers for women's mental health on the Canadian Mental Health website, which, hey, that's great. That's awesome. I'm not going to knock that at all. But they only got 1 for men. For the fucking love of God, get off your goddamn asses and stop being so silent and blind to the facts and the numbers.
Absolutely, and the sad reality is that the one that they have for men is one more than they have in the United States, which is zero.
I can only speak about Canada, Paul, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that since we are, United States are about 10 times larger than us. I believe, we're about 35 million. You're about 350 million. So that would be 80 men a day, I believe, in the United States, if my math is correct.
We got 25 a day just in veterans. Veterans alone are killing themselves 25 a day, just coming back from the wars. That in and of itself is a epidemic problem that men are facing without real help for it.
Our military is not as I believe the numbers would be similar in our military. However, our military is not involved as greatly overseas in many battles.
I'm glad you're not.
No. And that is atrocious. And I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Terrence Pop there. Incredible work that you do, sir. It's as a civilian.
That guy.
Yeah.
You talk about a real hero.
As a civilian who never served, I'm one of the ones who remembers that while you guys are doing your job out there, I'm back here making sure your home fires are burning strong as I can make them. Make sure your rights are protected. I'm absolutely disgusted at both countries on how they treat their military after they serve. It's disposable humans as far as I'm concerned. Hey, we'll fuck you up, we will mess up your head, and then we'll just toss you to the curbside. And no, I'm sorry, I can't, as a person of good conscience, sit idly by and agree with that or be silent on that. Now, that's not to say I agree where the fucking politicians send those poor folks, but that's not their fault. They're just soldiers who chose to do a job, to take up the job of soldier.
Yeah, politics don't mean shit when bullets are flying.
That's right, absolutely. And the police as well. just last year, last December, we had Sergeant Matthews from the Hamilton Police Services who decided that he would swallow his pistol, his gun, at the change room here in Hamilton, Ontario there. And the rumor has it had to do with him going through family law and alcoholism. So you put those two together, and it seems that one kind of leads into the other. Gee, I wonder which is more prevalent when we have no services for men to turn to, or who are going through divorce. But the rumor has it that that was the reason for his suicide as well. And really, Hamilton Police, like, dummy up. I'm not out here, causing you guys grief. I'm out here fighting for your rights too. That's crazy.
And with that, I think probably a good time to wrap this up. I don't want to wrap it up without mentioning Earl Silverman. And again, while this is such an important problem, Earl Silverman tried for years to start one facility and to keep it running for men that were victims of domestic violence and other abuses in relationships. He tried and tried and tried. He was mocked by the domestic violence industry, feminist controlled in Canada. He, I think, at one point got a check for $700 or something like that. But while women's agencies are hyper-funded, this man struggled for years and eventually hung himself, hoping that his death would inspire someone else to stand up and start doing this work. Here's the deal. That's what the silence costs us when we don't talk about this stuff. Earl shouted into the wilderness, into the void for years, and we're either going to let the void continue, or we're going to take the void away and create an audience for people like Earl Silverman and Danny and everybody else that wants to change these problems. And we're asking you tonight to help us do that, help meet Danny's goal. And if you do, he's going to do the tattoo. We're going to put the money to very good use. And thank you in advance for those that give. Danny, any parting words you want to say before we check out?
I actually donated to Earl's shelter. My last conversation with him was 2 weeks before he hung himself, and I begged, I told him numerous times, if he wanted to reach out to me, I was more than willing to, any time to answer the phone. He chose not to. Not ironically, but coincidentally, Earl hung himself on about 2 weeks just before the anniversary of my brother's death. Earl tried hard, and I hung posters for him, I did my level best to help him out, but the money, the government funding, the government wasn't listening, society wasn't listening, and that shit's got to stop. Also, the police responded to my domestic violence situation. It was really funny how they sat there and like, oh, I'm telling you, it was bloody hilarious how they asked her after she hit me and called the cops on herself, did he hit you? And she responded no, which was the truth. And then they asked her, well, did he threaten you? And she said no, and that was the truth as well. Their response, despite the mandate on a zero tolerance policy of domestic violence, their response was to take her to an abused woman's shelter, thereby creating false statistics. And don't get me started on false statistics. How you making out Holly Johnson, you lying twit, professor at University of Ottawa, Canada. I think I said enough, Paul. I'm feeling a little bit of Irish coming out in my blood.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, folks. If you ever wanted an explanation of why we take the FTSU approach, that's it. Because they are not going to listen unless somebody's grabbing them by the collar and saying, yes, you are going to listen. We're the ones right now that are willing to do that. Would appreciate it if you would help us out. If you can't, totally understand too. We're going to keep on keeping on no matter what. Thank you, Danny Boy. Thank you, everybody, for watching this hangout, and see you next time.